Have you ever felt a chill run down your spine when you realize you can't account for a period of time, like a missing piece of a puzzle, lost in the abyss of your memory? This eerie phenomenon known as missing time has baffled and terrified people for centuries. Tonight, we delve into the darkness, exploring the unsettling mystery of missing time. We'll journey through three chilling tales of individuals who experienced this phenomenon firsthand, their lives forever marked by the unexplained gaps in their memories. Prepare yourself, for the truth behind missing time is far stranger and more unsettling than you could ever imagine. Imagine this. The clock strikes 3 p.m. and you glance up from your desk, stretching after a long afternoon of work. But as you glance back at the clock, your blood runs cold. It's not 3:03, it's 8:17 p.m. How is that possible? Where did those 5 hours go? That's the chilling reality our first story explores. Meet Sarah, a young woman living a seemingly ordinary life until one day, time took an unexpected turn. Sarah was a creature of habit. Every day she'd leave her apartment at 8 a.m. sharp, grab a coffee and pastry from the bakery downstairs and be at her desk by 8:30. But one Wednesday morning, something was different. Sarah woke up feeling disoriented, a strange haze clouding her mind. She went through her usual routine, or so she thought. She left her apartment, the scent of fresh bread wafting from the bakery downstairs. As she reached for the door, a wave of dizziness washed over her. She blinked, trying to shake off the sudden fog in her mind. When she opened her eyes, she was met with the concerned face of Mrs. Peterson, the kindly old woman who ran the bakery. "Dear, are you all right?" Mrs. Peterson asked, her brow creased with worry. "You've been standing there for ages, just staring into space." Confused, Sarah glanced at her watch. It was 10:42 a.m. Panic surged through her as she realized she had no recollection of the past 2.5 hours. Had she been standing there the entire time? What happened? Where did the time go? Days turned into weeks, and the missing time continued to haunt Sarah. It became a recurring nightmare, these unexplained gaps in her memory stealing hours from her life. Doctors were baffled, unable to provide any logical explanation for her condition. Was it stress, a neurological disorder, or something far more sinister? As Sarah's grip on reality began to slip, she embarked on a desperate search for answers, determined to uncover the truth behind the vanishing hours. Our next tale takes us on a road trip, a journey into the heart of darkness where the road ahead is as uncertain as the memories lost along the way. Three friends, Mark, Emily, and Chris, decided to embark on a cross-country road trip, eager to trade the monotony of their everyday lives for the open road and shared adventures. Their laughter filled the car as they drove, the miles melting away beneath their wheels. They shared stories, sang along to their favorite songs, and made memories that they thought would last a lifetime. One evening, as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the desolate highway, they found themselves driving through a stretch of remote countryside. The landscape was eerily quiet, the only sound the low hum of the engine and the occasional cry of a distant bird. Mark, who was behind the wheel, noticed that his eyelids felt heavy, a strange drowsiness washing over him. He tried to shake it off, but the fatigue was overwhelming. He told Emily and Chris that he needed to pull over just for a few minutes to rest his eyes. They found a deserted rest stop, a lone picnic table, and a flickering streetlight, the only signs of civilization for miles around. Mark leaned back in the driver's seat, his eyes closing against the fading light. Emily and Chris, equally exhausted from the long drive, decided to doze off as well. When they woke up, the sun was high in the sky, casting a harsh glare across the deserted rest stop. Disoriented, they looked around, their hearts pounding in their chests. Something was wrong. Mark, Emily, and Chris exchanged uneasy glances. None of them could shake the feeling that something was amiss. It felt as if they had lost more than just a few hours of sleep. They checked their phones, but the batteries were inexplicably drained. Their watches had stopped at the exact same time, as if frozen in a moment of forgotten time. As they piled back into the car, a sense of unease settled over them. The road ahead seemed to stretch endlessly before them, a tangible representation of the missing hours that haunted their memories. They continued their journey, but the carefree joy of their adventure was gone, replaced by a chilling uncertainty. Chapter 3. The Lost Evening. Our final story takes us deeper into the heart of the missing time phenomenon, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, leaving us questioning the very fabric of our existence. David, a meticulous and organized accountant, lived a life governed by routine. Every evening he would follow the same pattern dinner at 7 p.m. sharp, followed by an hour of reading, and then bed by 10 p.m. One Tuesday evening, as David sat down to enjoy his usual dinner of salmon and asparagus, he felt a strange sensation wash over him. It was subtle at first, a barely perceptible shift in the atmosphere, as if the air itself had grown heavy with unspoken secrets. He dismissed it as fatigue, the result of a long day at the office, but as he ate, the feeling intensified, a growing sense of unease creeping into his mind. He glanced at the clock, 7:32 p.m. He distinctly remembered checking the time just moments ago, and it had been 7:15 p.m. Had he lost track of time? It wouldn't be the first time he'd gotten so engrossed in his thoughts that minutes had slipped away unnoticed. He continued eating, but his appetite had vanished. The salmon tasted bland, the asparagus like ash in his mouth. He pushed his plate away, his stomach churning with a growing sense of dread. He decided to skip his usual reading and head straight to bed, hoping that a good night's sleep would banish the unsettling feeling that had settled over him. He turned off the lights, his mind racing with unanswered questions. As he lay in the darkness, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine, as if someone was watching him from the shadows. He closed his eyes, willing himself to sleep, but sleep wouldn't come. Instead, he was plagued by fragmented images, flashes of darkness and light, whispers of voices he couldn't quite place. He tossed and turned, his heart pounding in his chest. He felt trapped in a nightmare, unable to wake up. Finally, as the first rays of dawn peeked through the blinds, he drifted off into a restless sleep. When he woke up, the sun was high in the sky, streaming through the window. He glanced at the clock, 10:18 a.m. He sat up in bed, his mind reeling. He had slept for almost 12 hours straight, something he had never done before. He stumbled out of bed and went into the kitchen, his mind still foggy from sleep. As he poured himself a cup of coffee, he noticed something strange. The newspaper on the table was from yesterday. He distinctly remembered reading it the previous evening before he went to bed. He checked his phone, but there were no missed calls, no messages. It was as if the entire evening had vanished into thin air. He tried to recall the events of the previous night, but his memory was blank, a void where hours should have been. The missing time phenomenon remains one of the most perplexing and unsettling mysteries of our time. These stories, though fictionalized, offer a glimpse into the unsettling reality of unexplained gaps in memory. Could it be a simple trick of the mind, or is there something more at play? Is it possible that we are not in complete control of our own timelines? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Have you or someone you know ever experienced the unsettling phenomenon of missing time? Remember, sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we can't see, lurking in the shadows of our own minds. Sleep well if you can.